Hi everybody, I'm Mary Annarella and welcome to the Lyrical Knitting Podcast, episode 4. We are into December now, and so of course to celebrate the holiday season and really get into the mood, I am wearing a fingering weight spring-like sweater. In fact, my sweater pattern here is called Spring in Her Path. I'm gonna take a look. I'll get this out of the way. Oh, here, I'll get a little closer so you can see the really amazing cable and lace work on the front. Yeah. Why am I wearing a lightweight sweater? Because it is 51 degrees Fahrenheit here in New England today, in early December. It's crazy, and it's not even raining. I'm so excited. I'm gonna go out and walk the dog wearing a light jacket and this light fingering weight sweater underneath. But hey, that's climate change for you. But I guess I'll just enjoy a 51-degree day in December when I can. Anyhow, I am gearing up for the holidays, and I've been doing some holiday knitting, and I know a bunch of you have too, and that you took big advantage of my big Black Friday sale that lasted almost a week or so. And so I know there's a lot of knitting going on. There's knitting going on in my house, and I'm coming out with a couple of new hat patterns soon. They're both a holiday sort of theme because I like to name my patterns things that make me happy. And hopefully they'll make all you happy too. But this next hat makes me ridiculously happy. The test knit's complete, the pattern's ready to go, but the hat is really silly. The biggest feature about this particular finished object is this outrageous pom-pom, but here's the hat, and it's made from a speckled colorway. And it has a cabled pattern on it that's really, really fun to do. The hat's name, I'll talk about that in just a minute, but the hat's name is Making Spirits Bright. Get it? Making Spirits Bright. But I thought I would put it on for you so you can see just how ridiculous this pom-pom is. It's hysterical. Here we go. I'm getting this on right here. There we are. Can you see how ridiculous this pom-pom is? It's so huge. It's like I have an ostrich or something on top of my head, but I love it, and I've worn it several times, and a couple of people have actually stopped me, like at work, going, "Where did you get that? That is so much fun." I'm like, "I made it." They're like, "Oh my god, you made it." You're knitters, so you know what it's like when you're out wearing something. People are like, "You made that?" I'm like, "Yes." And the next thing they usually say is, "Can you make me one?" And we all know what the answer to that is. Well, are you knit-worthy? So for all the knit-worthy people in your life, this hat pattern is coming out December 12th, I think. And here's where I have a confession. I do not like wearing hats. They mush up my hair. I feel like I look silly in them. And you take the hat off and then you have a hat head or hat hair, or my hair gets all staticky and the like, but it's winter time. This is New England. I have actually had light frostbite to my feet in the past, and part of keeping my whole body warm is making sure you keep your head warm. So I always wear a hat when it's really cold outside. So anytime it's say below 50 degrees, I'll be wearing a hat. So maybe I won't wear a hat on my walk later on today, but usually, yeah, it's winter time, and one reality of winter in New England is that you gotta keep warm, and one way to do that is wearing a hat. So I make lots of hats. I give lots of hats away. But this one is Making Spirits Bright, and it's got a cable pattern to it that I think kind of look like boughs of fir trees. Yeah, so I called it a fir tree cable. And there are some, let me see if I can think backwards here, some right-leaning cables and some left-leaning, left-crossing cables. The left-crossing cables are done, in the normal cabling way with a cable needle, unless you really prefer to cable without a cable needle. Oh, see what I'm talking about with the hat hair and having static electricity in your hair. Anyhow, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you live in a cold climate, you gotta wear lots of hats. You know what I'm talking about with hat hair, but we live with it. But anyhow, these right crossing cables, the ones that lean over this way, and I'm not sure how this is gonna work out left and right on the video itself, but the ones that are leaning right this way, I created a video tutorial for you guys so that you can see a way to do a false cable, and it actually looks better when it's worked in the round like that. Have you ever noticed that sometimes stitch patterns like a lace pattern or a cable pattern just doesn't work as well in the round as it does back and forth? And I was really finding it with these cables because these are, these are a type of cable where you cross just one stitch over like 3 stitches instead of 2 over 2. And so they weren't looking right. So I worked out a way to do a false cable that looks so good in the round. And the bonus of this is that it's way easier to work than an actual true cable with a cable needle, or even a true cable cabling without a needle. Way easier to do. So I cut your work in half for you on this hat pattern. But this is a speckled colorway, and oh my gosh, the yarn is La Bien-Aimée. La Bien-Aimée. Am I pronouncing that correctly? I think so. It is La Bien-Aimé's Merino DK yarn, and the colorway is Le Petit Nuage, which translates to, I believe, the small storm. My Throwback Thursday sweater knit up in their fingering weight yarn was in Le Grand Nuage, so the big storm. This is the little storm, and it's a really great colorway. I just love the subtle speckles that are purple and pink and blue on it. But I did knit this hat up in several colors. This isn't a DK, but I've also scaled it, and the pattern gives you directions for making it in a worsted weight as well. This is Madeline Tosh Farm Twist in the colorway Jade. And I think in this color, it really looks like fir trees a lot. And so I was thinking, ooh, I think what I'll do is put a little star button here and there on these boughs, maybe 5 or 6 going all around, and maybe I'll stick this pom-pom on the end, something like that. And this would make it like a holiday hat that doesn't scream Christmas, and I really like that. On the other hand, my fiance really liked this, and I was like, oh, well, do you mind if I sew a couple of star buttons on the tops of the trees here, and maybe put a pom-pom on top? And he was like, can I just have the hat plain? I'm like, you don't want a pom-pom, it's so soft, you don't want Christmas trees. He's like, I just like it plain. And I have to admit, it looks really great on him, so it works really well for a guy. I tend to like my hats a little on the loose side because, again, hat hair. And if they're a little loose on me, then it doesn't smush my hair so much, and then when I take it off, there's not quite so much static electricity. But David likes to wear his hats snug, so we actually wear the same size hat, at least for this pattern, so that worked out pretty well. And now we got to fix the hair again. We got some static electricity. There we go. We've prettified it again. And because it is a holiday themed hat, I couldn't resist having a green one and a red one, so I worked this one up in the Tosh colorway Tart. This is the next size up because I was thinking, oh, maybe I want a little bit of a slouch to it, like that. So I'd wear it like that a little bit. But this one's definitely big on me. This is the next size up. This is what, size medium, I think. Okay, wait for it. Wait for the static. I think I will just have to deal with having staticky hair if I'm going to try on a bunch of hats on and off in rapid succession. But anyhow, this is the Making Spirits Bright hat. Right there. While I was at it, I decided that I wanted to swatch for a particular cable pattern that I want to use in a sweater. And I thought, you know what? Why don't I just work the swatch out and make a hat out of it? So I did that, and I used a yarn that was gifted to me by the folks at Periwinkle Sheep. So this is Periwinkle Sheep's Merino DK yarn. And I was working out this swatch for this particular cable, and I thought, again, I'll just keep going and make a hat out of it. The hat has an infinity cable to it. Can you see that? They're closed cables. And they go all around. Right. So I was thinking of calling the hat the Infinity Stone hat because it's inspired by the Infinity Stone from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. But since I'm releasing it in December, I thought it'd be really nice to release it with the Making Spirits Bright hat, and I'll make it a holiday theme. And so I asked a bunch of people on Instagram, and someone came up with the name Infinite Cheer. So we've got Making Spirits Bright with Infinite Cheer that are going up. I think December 12th is probably when I'm going to release it. But this hat is worked by casting on stitches here. You do some increases, and then you work the cables, and you basically work it as a headband. You do have one seam to do where you seam the cast on edge to the bind off edge, like that. And I just played around with it until I got a nice looking seam. You're going to be wearing, I'm going to be wearing this at the back of my head anyway, so it doesn't bother me having a seam. But you knit this hat by working basically the headband first, and then you pick up stitches all along the selvage edge and just work the rest in stockinette, and it is just, you know, like square shaping on the top. I really like this hat too. The color is a purpley gray, and I think the colorway name is Stones in the Road, or Stones from the Beach, or Stones from the Pond. I can't quite remember, but it's a lovely yarn to work with, and I love a purpley gray. It reminds me a lot of Tasha's old composition book gray, when it used to be really purpley, and I think they discontinued that color even. Anyhow, this is just a nice little toque or beanie, and I really like wearing this one. Here we go. So I've got the top there, a little bit there, and I actually kind of like how I look in this hat. It doesn't bug me too much. You can wear it like this, or you can position the cable right in the center of your forehead if you're like. I like being a little bit of a rebel, and I'm wearing it slightly off center like that. This little rebellious teenager that I am. There we go. So something like that. Honestly, as much as I would like to wear this hat, for some reason, my son's girlfriend, I keep thinking of her every single time I pick this up. I'm thinking she would really like this, she would really like this. She looks amazing in this color, and I would really like to have a nice hand knit gift for her. So I thought to myself, well, then I can't keep this for myself. I will have to send it off to my son's girlfriend in their Christmas package this year. So I decided I had to make myself another one. And I just finished it last night. This has not been blocked, but I worked this up in some Primrose yarn. Primrose Yarn Company. This is their Merino Cashmere blend. So I think the colorway is called Flamingos, but honestly I think it ought to be called Cotton Candy, because it really is the color of cotton candy. I put a few extra rows in it here vertically, and it gives it a teeny bit of slouch, and I'm on the fence. I think I'm glad I knit this one the way it was, but I just thought, oh, I want to see what happens if I put it in a few more rows there. But you know, this will give me kind of, I don't know, maybe a snow bunny sort of look. It goes really well with the pink sweater. But because I was having so much fun knitting this hat, I thought, oh, you know what? Maybe I want to see how far I can get and use up almost the entire skein of yarn. So I picked up a speckled colorway. I'm only going to hold it up part way here. From Nice and Knit. I purchased this yarn from Nice and Knit at the New England Fiber Festival, and instead of making it into a toque, I made it into a stocking cap version, and I put another alpaca pom-pom on the end here. So it's kind of like a gnome hat. Let me pop this on here. Something like that. And this is ridiculously fun. I really like wearing it this way. And we had a blast taking pictures of it too. And yeah, it's just the right width for my head too. It's a little loose like I like it. But I've sized the hat in a couple different sizes for you so you can play around and get whatever fit you really need. But just regarding doing the closed cables and picking up stitches, I made a video tutorial and I've uploaded that already as pattern support for this new pattern that's coming out, Infinite Cheer, where I show you how to do the closed cable stitches. So let's see. Because here you have to do some special increases to open up the cable if you're knitting it, in this direction. And then you just cable normally. And then when you get to the top, you have to do a special decrease, and it works much better if you do it on the wrong side. So I thought it would be a lot easier, and I thought it would be helpful for many people making the hat pattern to do a video tutorial of how to do, how to open up that cable and how to close it up at the top. And while I was at it, it's like a 25-minute tutorial because I thought, you know what? I think I'll show everybody how I like to pick up stitches from the selvage edge of the headband to make the hat. So I show you how to do that as well. And that's actually really useful for way more than just this hat. It's also how I pick up stitches from any selvage edge for like a button band on a cardigan, for example. So it's a fairly long tutorial, but in the description, if you want to avoid the chatter and just get right to the technique, I've listed times for that as well. So yeah, but this is nice and knit, and this colorway is called Sand Dollar. Sand Dollar. And it's very lightly speckled. I am a sucker for those lightly speckled colorways. Just really nice, and this is so much fun. Fun to wear. There we go. Something like that. Yeah. So that's what I've been knitting. And I'm also planning out lots of wonderful things for you, and including a mystery knit along. I'm wanting to do a mystery knit along every year. Last year I did Till the Cowls Come Home, and a lot of you participated in that. It was really fun. This year we are going to have a Hamilton themed lyrical mystery knit along. And it's going to use 3 colors of yarn. The colors that I've chosen that I'm going to show you all are from a Miss Babs Yowza trio that I purchased at Rhinebeck this past year. Yowza comes in really huge skeins, and so they've made mini skeins of it, which are less than 100 grams. These are about 200 yards each, so it's a little less than a full skein of DK yarn. So I'm thinking this would be really good for stash busting, because we all have like these, single DK skeins hanging around. Especially if you're a sweater knitter like me, I tend to buy an extra skein of yarn and then I don't use it. And then I'm like, all right, I don't know, what do I do with all these single skeins? I could make hats with them, and I do a lot of that, but it's nice to put 3 of them together. Oh, I forgot to tell you the name of the project, the name of the pattern. It is called Young, Scrappy, and Cozy, and it's going to be for a cowl. And I think if you liked last year's Till the Cowls Come Home, you're gonna like this one as well. This is going to be a slightly different shape, maybe sort of a similar technique, and there might be color work, there might be garter, there might be slip stitches, who knows, but I thought I'd show you the 3 colors. And whatever 3 colors you choose for this project, they'll all be used like to either stripe with each other, or maybe have some sort of color work or some sort of technique where each color needs to contrast a little bit with the other. Like I wouldn't do 3 shades of light beige, for example, or beige and a light yellow, because the yellow won't stand out against the beige. So just have 3 colors that play nicely with each other. If you want to use a variegated colorway, I'd suggest you only use 1 variegated colorway, because otherwise it could get a little too messy and you wouldn't be able to see the patterning too well. But Young, Scrappy, and Cozy is gonna go live probably the 2nd week in January. I want to give us time to recover from the holidays and all. And believe me, I will let you know exactly when it's going to be released and when it will be available for pre-orders. It's not even available for pre-orders right now. I've only put the pattern up on Ravelry with a placeholder photo. But you can find it there. But also, if you want to hear when pre-orders open, when the pattern's released and all, click subscribe to my newsletter. And the information is down below in the description of this video right here. So you can be the first to hear about it. So that's what I'm doing. Oh my gosh, I just love these colors. I think this is called Beryl. I think this is called Dusk, and this one is Aubergine. So kind of a pinkish eggplant color, but I think it would be really fun to do find yarn that has Hamilton inspired colorways. That would be really fun. I'm thinking each of the 3 colors, it would be really fun to have a set where each color represents one of the Schuyler sisters. Like you could have a peach color for Angelica and that blue for Eliza and Peggy. Peggy's dress, I think, was like a greenish yellow in the show Hamilton. That would be really fun to have a Hamilton theme like that. Or maybe, you know, have something that's a King George theme to it. Do red, white, and I don't know, gold maybe. Those would be a really nice King George set. But that would be lots of fun, and be on the lookout for dyers who are dyeing up kits for this. Babs will definitely have a whole lot of trios available for it, and I'll keep you abreast of that in the newsletter. Otherwise, some yarn has arrived at my house lately. You will not be surprised to know that. You may be surprised that I have been getting into some woollier yarns, and I had really been wanting to try Cormo lately. I was this close to picking up some and buying some Cormo when I was at Rhinebeck, but I just, for whatever reason, I just didn't do it. And then I decided to go ahead and order some Elsa wool because I've heard really good things about it from fellow knitters online. And so I went ahead and ordered a sweater quantity of her worsted weight, just like that. Elsa wool right there. It is so squishy, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do like a wintry theme. I just want an off-white color, so I just went with the natural. This is her worsted weight, and while I was at it, I thought, okay, I'm a sucker for soft yarns. I'll pick up some of the fingering weight as well, so you can kind of see fingering, although based on the comments on Ravelry and what people are using the fingering weight for, it looks like this might function more like a sport. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to play around. I might do a little cabling with it, might not. But this is hopefully going to be next up, you know, after the Mystery Knit Along, after Young, Scrappy, and Cozy. So we're knitting here. Knitting hats, more yarn is coming in. I'm playing with color, and I hope that you are having a wonderfully fibrous, happy holiday season, no matter what you celebrate. We are into Hanukkah right now, so happy Hanukkah to those who celebrate. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate Christmas at the end of the month, and a happy Kwanzaa to those who celebrate Kwanzaa as well. Subscribe to the newsletter and you'll hear from me before the new year. Otherwise, the podcast will pick up again in 2019. Oh my gosh, it's almost 2019. Crazy, isn't it? The longer you're here, the more amazing it is as the years go by. So, happy holiday season. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. If you have, click subscribe, click like, join my newsletter, and we'll see you again next time. And I hope you have a lovely December.